What's up, everybody? It is April the 20th. Yes, it is 420, and you are about to experience the second year anniversary of H2G Radio right here on The Wire. Need I say anything else? The Wire Sports Podcast. It starts right now.
I'm going in, it's first and 10. I'm a legend boy, a champion. They can't match the flows, the X's and O's. I'm breaking the code, devastation about to unfold. They calling me Derek by the way I roll. Bet you never ever seen a pro this cold. I float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. I mix with Iron Mike and the great Ali. I'm a run it back, believe me, baby. I fathered the game, call me Daddy Brady. I'm like that, try be like this. Sammy Sosa, that boy don't miss. It's the return of the greatest. Any way you name it, I'm everybody's favorite. I'm bringing the pain and bringing the fire. Hey, stay tuned, it's going down to the wire.
Fellas, welcome in. Let me start by saying congratulations on 2 years here at H2G. We started in the midst of the pandemic, and now we have got a full-blown network. Congratulations, everybody. And this is the start of season 7, technically, for The Wire. I know we're kind of always running, but that ties us for the longest running show on the network. So congratulations, fellas, and welcome.
Let's go.
All right. So let's dive on. Yeah,
bro, I'm tired. 7 seasons, you know? I don't have the energy. like that.
Got a Supreme case of Sundays going on here.
Yeah. All right.
But it's Wednesday, guys.
Yeah, just Blaze. We just heard.
That's why it's crazy.
Oh, that's why. Okay, I understand now. All right.
We're all low-key right now.
I figured, given that it's the anniversary and we are now right into the NBA playoffs, we would do an NBA special today. We're going to play a game that goes back to the very beginning of The Wire, actually all the way back to 2011. I think we used to call it Pass and Play. Today, we're going to call it Pick or Play. What I've got is the matchups for the first round of the NBA playoffs. I also have the scores from Game 1. Now, I know you're checking this out on Wednesday. I wasn't going to have all the scores by the time that this aired, so we're going to go off just the scores from Game 1. But, guys, what it is if anybody wants to play, then we will break down that game. Otherwise, we'll just go around the horn and get your picks on who's going to take that series. Make sense?
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's dive on into a good old-fashioned pick or play. Starting off, we have the Jazz versus the Mavericks. Now, in Game 1, the Mavericks lost to the Jazz 99-93. Do we want to pick this one or do we want to play this one?
Pick. Please pick.
Nobody wants to play this one.
Well, no. Let me explain why I want to pick. And then if somebody wants to rebuttal, that's fine. Luka Doncic is injured. There's no point in talking. This isn't like a fair matchup, and he's out for Game 2 is what it looks like too. Yeah, out for Game 2. So they're going to be down 0-2. Is it possible they come back with Luka? Of course it is. But to me, pick. Let's move on. There's more interesting things to talk about.
Exactly.
Sure, Leo. Why don't you go ahead and start it off, Richie? Who do you got taking that series between the Jazz and the Mavericks?
Well, like that diatribe that was long and windy, I'm just obviously going to say no Luka Doncic. The Mavericks are going to win. No, the Mavericks are not going to win. They're going to lose. They're going to lose hard. Utah's going to win.
Sahih's shaking his head. What do you think, man?
I mean, Utah's going to win. That ragtag bunch of guys up there that barely made the playoffs. Come on now. Ain't no way they're going to win. What are you talking about? No Luka Doncic or not. The Mavericks are a tough squad. They've got backups over there. I believe that they're going. I believe that they're going to win this series for real.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough. Hey, I'm not trolling.
All right.
It's just when your best argument is they got backups. You know, like That's why I was laughing to clarify to the audience. You know, I'm not laughing at Sahi. It was just his argument was just so ridiculous.
You
know, they got backup. They got 12 players.
They gonna show them
out there.
right.
Trey, what about you, man? You got the Jazz or the Mavericks going
I have
on?
the Jazz. Even if Dallas did have Luka, I would still pick the Jazz. It's just too much defense and firepower. They're just a better team. So, and Donovan Mitchell's coming on strong. Jordan Clarkson is a walking bucket, and Rudy Gobert is playing at an elite defensive level. They just don't have the answers for all of that. Luka's great. Luka could have possibly averaged 35, 15, and 10, and it wouldn't matter.
All right. Anybody else got a rebuttal on that one? Otherwise, we'll move on.
Let's move on.
Let's move
on.
Talking about.
Let's talk about some guys that are more than. Let's talk about some starters, not just the bench players.
So we got next up, we got the Timberwolves versus the Grizzlies. Game one score came out. Timberwolves on top, 130-117. We want to pick or we want to play it.
I'm gonna play it.
Okay.
Yep,
All right, Sahi, go ahead. Or Trey, whoever was first. I couldn't really tell. It's Zoom.
I believe it was Trey.
I said play it, but I think that this is a very interesting matchup because both teams are very confident in their what they do, and they talk trash. So it's very interesting to me, especially if you have a team like Pat Bev. You got a team going on with Pat Bev, and Pat Bev's like encouraged Karl-Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell to be barking right behind him. And then you have a team like a person like John Morant who doesn't back down from anything, and he's got that Memphis Grizzlies squad rolling and confident, even without him on the floor, because that says how confident he is in his team and his game. And it's just going to be a scrappy game, and I'm here for every bit of it.
Sahi?
Yeah, this series is interesting to me because you got Anthony Ant-Man Edwards on the one side, you got John Morant on the other side, right? And the old saying is playoff makes stars, right? And these are two young stars in the game, and you know what I'm saying? The outcome of this series is going to determine both of these guys' legacy going forward into the next few years. Whoever comes out of this, you know what I'm saying, their star is going to elevate. Whoever loses, there are going to be questions about them. They're still going to be great, but it's just going to be interesting to see who's on that teeter-totter, who's going to go up and who's going to go down. And we're going to watch this in live time. So you got to be glued to your television set watching these guys, and they're balling, both of them. So it's just interesting to watch.
Heck yeah. Richie, what are you excited about with the Timberwolves and Grizzlies?
Well, I don't know if we're picking it all. I was listening to the analysis and I appreciate it. I wanted to give a little different perspective here. Memphis is 19-2 without Ja, who's a superstar, by the way. So I just want to point out how well-rounded this team is. That's what I'd like to say. Because typically, we'll probably talk about them later, the Denver Nuggets, for instance, couldn't win a game if they tried without Nikola Jokic, which is why he's been the MVP. And I'm not saying Ja is not that caliber. He is that caliber. But the point is that Memphis is that good of a team. Having said that, I'm really excited about this series because this is a bad matchup for Memphis. Minnesota's huge. I mean, they're big dudes, and Memphis is a small team. And we saw that upset, but can you call it an upset, right? Like, I feel like the Minnesota Timberwolves for so long have been like inches from being where they needed to be, and it's taken a long time. Cat has been disrespected for a long time, Karl-Anthony Towns. And, you're starting to see it come into fruition with Anthony Edwards now. Now you got a legitimate superstar along with Cat. And then D'Angelo's no joke, as Trey already mentioned. So I think, we're so acclimated to having three superstars to be an effective super team, or, we're starting to throw that term away. But the point is they have all these players now, and then they have that annoying veteran leadership in Pat Beverly. I hate that guy. I love to hate that guy. So this has been a fun series to watch. and I'm looking forward to it. I think this is gonna be one of those bangers where it's probably like 6 or 7 games. I think the teams are very equal. I think the Grizzlies have a better team, but this is such a bad matchup for them that I personally, right now, I'm kind of leaning towards Minnesota pulling it out.
I will say, I think that the Grizzlies are like a year and a solid veteran, like an Al Horford, even like away from being a legitimate threat in the West. I think they're in the position they're in just a year too early.
Yeah.
So that was a good segue, Richie. Why don't we, Trey, who do you have winning that series between the Timberwolves and Grizzlies? Or did you say and I missed it?
I didn't say. I think it's a toss-up. I do think that it is a bad matchup for Memphis, but I think Memphis has the fight in them to get past it, especially if Dylan Brooks kind of like gets to going and Ja has plays like he's supposed to play, and they don't get pounded by Karl-Anthony Towns on the inside. So I'm gonna need some big contributions from the New Zealander and Jackson Jr. But if they could figure it out, I think they could win. But like Richie was saying earlier, Cat is just abusing them. So it's kind of hard. It could go either way. I think if I have to put a number to it, I'll take the Timberwolves and a full series.
Sahi, what about you, Ben? Did you say a pick, or who do you have winning?
I don't know, man. I want to go with the Timberwolves on this one. I think they just got a little bit too much, like the guys are saying.
All right. Any last ones, or shall we keep on rolling?
Keep on rolling, brother. I don't see this change.
Rolling.
The Raptors. We got the Raptors and the 76ers. And this one can't be the right score that I wrote down because I wrote 131-11. I definitely missed a number there. I will get you. That was like 111, 114 maybe. I'll get you on that. Raptors versus 76ers is the matchup. We want to pass or play, or pick or play, sorry.
By the way, 131-111.
111.
I'm willing to play this, but we can pass or pick. We could play it.
Okay.
All right, Richie, you want to get us kicked off there? The Raptors took away that first win, 131-111, not 11. I missed a one.
Yeah, they got they got 111. That matters. Okay, so now I think while the guys are probably hesitant, but this is why I wanted to get into this conversation, is I'm pretty sure we're all on the same page that Philadelphia is going to win this series handily. But I just wanted to give a shout out, man. I think it's important. This is the coming out party. I don't know if you guys saw the game. 38 points, Tyrese Maxey. He's becoming a legitimate option and star. And you have that a lot. When James Harden doesn't even have to be a focal point of your offense, you're in a good spot. And, I think when we had this trade where Harden came to the Sixers, we were all excited about Harden and Embiid. And, the focal point was they lost Seth Curry. Oh, no, what are they going to do? Well, Maxey's like making me forget about that at this point. So the only reason why I wanted to play this is just to say, wow, Philadelphia's looking tough. I think they're an incredible team. I'm not trying to say Toronto's washed or anything, but there's no way they win this series, guys. There's no way. I'll be surprised if they get a game. I'm honestly calling the broom now, but I wanted to give a shout out to the 76ers and Maxey specifically. 38 points. That's a impressive, debut, so to speak. I don't know if I've seen one better than that. So.
All right, and who wants it next?
I'll second what you're saying about Maxey. He's someone that came out of I don't think anybody saw what he's become this year. I think it's a foregone conclusion that Philly's going to win this. If they didn't win this, then we'd have to take a long, hard look at Embiid and if what he does equates to winning basketball. And we would definitely have the answer about James Harden because he wins where he hasn't won where he's been at any destination. So I think Philly's going to win it. Shout out to Richie for big up in Maxey because he has been a beast this year. And shout out to Toronto because they played really well this year.
Yeah.
It's just going to end.
Absolutely. Sahi, what about you, man? What do you make of the Raptors 76ers? Are you going to give Toronto more credit, or you think 76ers are going to take it also?
I'll say this, right? I'm a big basketball fan. I love basketball. I love playing basketball. I love watching NBA playoff basketball. It's a great time. The stakes are raised, and you never know what's going to happen for the most part. But this series, you know exactly what's going to fucking happen. All right. If there was ever a team that you're like, man, this team shouldn't even have shown up, it's the Toronto Raptors. They should have stayed their ass at home. It's going to get embarrassing. And I'm glad we talked about it because.
Well, this is how Sahi gets when it comes to the playoff season. You know, he doesn't pull punches. We remember what he did to Kansas City a couple years ago.
Yeah.
That is true. And to clarify, this is how much of no chance they have. Embiid had 19 points and they lost by 20 points. Okay.
Yeah.
So when he has an off game and they lose by 20 points, I just don't see how they get a win. Let alone
They don't got nobody in there. They need the dude from the Rocky film. Throw in the towel. Throw in the damn towel.
What was his name? Apollo's coach. Man.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, let us know in the comments if you can remember that. I'll be watching the movie right after this because Sahi always makes me watch movies after the show. All right, here we go. We got the Nuggets versus the Warriors. Hopefully I didn't put this score backwards. First game, Nuggets 107, Warriors 123. Do we want to pick or play on this one here?
I want to pick it. I don't want to play it. I think this is a conclusion. The game is up. The Golden State Warriors won the series.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm down to pick.
All right, Richard, what do you got?
I'm choosing the Golden State Warriors. And I think it's going to be a sweep.
A sweep?
I don't think Jokic can pull a game out. He just doesn't have enough help, and they have way too much shooting. Steph Curry came off the bench. Jordan Poole is a really nice diamond in the rough that they found. He is a starter in the league, and he is showing us what he's made of. He came out balling. I just don't see them with enough firepower.
This is painful for me. We've talked about my disdain for the Golden State Warriors. First of all, I'd like to say Jordan Poole deserves to be most improved player, although I do believe Ja Morant will get that, which is absurd because Jordan Poole was in the G League last year, and now he's, as Trey eloquently put, a starter, and he is beyond a starter. As a matter of fact, he's significantly better than his cohort who made the All-Star game. We don't even need to get into it. The point being is the Warriors are a very talented squad. Denver is not, and they're missing Murray. Now, if Murray was in this series, we'd have a whole different conversation, but he's been out the whole year. Jokic is still the MVP. He is the best player in the league. I don't care what anyone says, but he, as Trey said, he's not alone able to beat all these players. You know, you got Steph Curry coming off the bench. You got Jordan Poole. You got everybody. Klay Thompson's been playing the best basketball this year in this last 2 weeks. He's been averaging 30 points per game. Before that, 14. So he's hot when he needs to be hot. Steph Curry's been injured and is able to come off the bench, and they're able to wall up this team while he's only playing, I think it was like 18 minutes. He barely played this game, and they dominated. So this is another one. I don't think it's as foregone of a conclusion as the previous series, as he so eloquently put. But I think this is the second largest mismatch of this whole playoffs. This is not something that Jokic can pull off, and this Warriors team has too many offensive juggernauts for Denver to be able to keep the pace offensively. I just don't see them stopping them.
All right. Sahi, who do you have between the Warriors and the Nuggets?
Yeah, this one I got the Warriors. I liken the Warriors a little bit to the Patriots of the NFL. They just got such a strong winning culture down there. The guys really believe. With Steph Curry's like the quarterback of that team, he gets those guys to believe, and guys that normally aren't that great play out of their minds. So Golden State's going to do a lot of good things in these playoffs.
Not to be Justo or anything, but did you just in a offshoot roundabout way compare Steph Curry to Tom Brady?
Yes.
That's a very nice comparison. It's welcome.
Wow.
All right. You already know how I feel about Tom Brady and the Tom Brady slander. That's okay. That's okay.
Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time. Curry, the greatest shooter of all time.
They are not. This is slanderous to Tom Brady. What are you guys talking about?
Not even.
No, it is. Organizationally, I completely agree with Sahi. But Tom Brady is the greatest football player to ever play the game. Steph Curry is not even a top 10 all-time NBA player. They are not comparable. I'm sorry.
Well, what did it bring to their
Steph Curry will definitely be a top 10 player all time. Absolutely.
You think so? You think when his career's over? You think he's going to get another chip? Because he's going to need two more. He needs two more to get in the top 10. Because he's competing with Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, LeBron James, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain, Michael Jordan,
also with that
Kobe
conversation.
Bryant.
Also with that question, I'm talking about when it's all said and done. Also with that conversation, you have to recognize the fact that he changed the face of the way we see the NBA today.
No, and imagine if Klay Thompson never got hurt. They might have a few more. Come on,
they definitely have the one against Toronto.
I'll tell you this though. It's not about players being hurt, because there's some championships they wouldn't even gotten to. Guess what? If Chris Paul didn't get hurt, they wouldn't even won in 2017 because they would have gotten bounced. Same thing in 2016. We can't talk about injuries and hypothetical, they could have won 6 in a row. Well, they also could have lost 6 in a row if certain people didn't get injured in this. Kawhi Leonard in 2015. Like Chris Paul 2 times, 2016, 2017.
That's a very fair point, but that still doesn't change the fact that Steph Curry, I wouldn't say single-handedly changed the face of basketball.
Oh no, I'll say this. Steph Curry, since Shaquille, is the most transformative player since Shaquille O'Neal in terms of the way the league adapted to how they were playing. But like anything, the mean is resetting. It used to be everyone's trying to play Warriors basketball. Well, now it's going back to a big ass center and a superstar, and that's good enough to win. And we're starting to see that. So I don't disagree with you guys in terms of his impact. But when we're talking about like basketball accolades, I mean, this is for another day. I feel like we'll really have to. This is a more in-depth conversation. But there's a difference between individual accomplishment and like for instance, LeBron James is one of a kind. Truthfully, right? We can't say, and nobody can look at LeBron James and be like, we can all do that, because we can't. But people see Steph and be like, all right, he practiced so hard. He is literally and by a margin nobody will catch up to for a long time, the greatest shooter of all time. But now, on the positives and the negatives, you see people take these ludicrous 3-point shots from like almost the damn logo all the time, like LeBron, who's LeBrick because he does that way too much. And it's called heat checks, and they try to heat check and copy Steph Curry, and they can't do it because they ain't Steph Curry.
Right, exactly. That's exactly my point, though. Steph Curry has made it to where everybody thinks that they can shoot, and everybody can't shoot like Steph. And the way he does it, and when it's all said and done with the championships and the MVPs and the unanimous MVPs, he has changed basketball culture in a way that we haven't seen really since, I would say, Jordan.
Steph Curry's the new Tom Brady. Let's go.
I don't know.
Oh my God.
But I agree. I understand what your organization. I do understand what Richard is saying. Besides,
Steph Curry's the new Tom Brady.
All right, we will go ahead and put top 10 NBA players of all time on the docket for next week. I think that's a story.
That'd be a fun topic. That'd be a fun topic.
We will throw that on for the first half for next week. All right, do we Did we get picks from everybody? Everybody picked the Warriors. Everybody agreed.
I think we all picked the Warriors. I think we all agree.
We all picked
I
the Warriors.
painfully and reluctantly picked the Warriors.
All right, we got a few more to get here, and then I'm going to save one for the second half. So we've got up next here the Hawks versus the Heat. It's hard to read my own writing. I actually wrote Heats.
Hawks and the Heats.
The Hawks and the Heats over here.
Okay.
Game one ended Heat 115, Hawks 91. Do we want to pick or play on this bad boy?
I'm down either way, fellas.
We can play it.
We'll play it?
Play it.
All right, Sahi, why don't you kick us off with the Hawks and Heat?
The Hawks versus the Heat. Interesting, right? You got Trae Young out there trying to do his thing. Ice Trae. He's a young superstar in the league. I believe like he's one of those guys that wants to be a Steph Curry. But he doesn't have the team or the organization that's going to really put it all behind him. I think they're trying to, but I just don't think they know how to figure it out down there. So they'll be a good team that, you know what I'm saying, makes the playoffs. They're on that fence of making it, not making it year to year, unless they make some big splashes. But you got Eric Spoelstra. You got Jimmy Butler in the gang. They've been to an NBA Finals. They're a team sort of like in the mold of the Warriors, although not as talented, but they have a bunch of guys that believe they win. They've got the same group that they went to the finals with for the most part. So they're going to give the Atlanta Hawks a lesson in what it means to be a winning culture and how to be one of those teams that go from barely making it to being a staple in the playoffs. I don't think either of these teams are threatened for a title run, but if we're just talking between these two teams, the Heat got them all day, every day.
Very well put, my friend. All right, who wants this game next? Who wants? I think Richie. You were either way.
Sure. Okay, so here's how I view this. The Atlanta Hawks barely beat the Cleveland Cavaliers, and Allen was completely injured. Also, how much did they lose by 17, Justin, the first game? It was something like that. Now, don't get me wrong.
115 to 91, so.
Okay. So let me try to be positive if you're an Atlanta fan. Let's go that direction. Before, I don't want to just shit on them entirely. Duncan Robinson, I think, went 9 for 10 for like 27 points. He literally only made 3-pointers. He did nothing else. I don't think you're going to get that kind of production from him all the time off the bench. I think the other thing is PJ Tucker almost had like between 15 and 20 points. He's a defensive specialist. I don't even remember him scoring. I just remember when I saw like the stat line, I was shocked that he scored so much. So if you're an Atlanta fan, Trae Young scoring 8 points and all these other things happening, leads to this game going this disastrously. I don't believe the whole series will be in like game one, but just like we talked about Steph Curry and we're bringing this up that, Trae Young's similar. He is, but he ain't. He has the skill set, and I want to give him props because he's the first dude since I think Nate Archibald to lead the league in total points and total assists for the year. So he is an incredible superstar. He really is. But if you're that talent, like if you're that dude, and they're trying to build around you, you can't score 8 points. It's really that simple. So if I'm an Atlanta fan, I'm hopeful because my only real superstar scored 8 points, and that's just not acceptable. So yes, they got washed, like 18 point, whatever, the differential, 15 points. But it's not, it's not like it's over, but they have a big hill to climb, and Trae Young has to be the start of that. It was the same thing in Cleveland. He had such a terrible first half. And then that man, Trae messaged the group and he was just like, this dude is cooking. And he was. And that second half, man, it was funny. Like, I'm a Cleveland fan, but I was just watching and I was just like y'all have no shot because he was just making buckets in that second half and he took over. So this is a team that will live and die with Trey, and when Trey's hot, they're going to win. And Miami is that defense. Let me clarify. And so I'm not saying Trey's going to pop 36, 38 every game. Miami is an incredible defense, and that's what they're known for. So this could be indicative, but Trey's got to step up. And, Duncan Robinson, I don't think will score 30 points a game. So this could easily be a series that could come back. But if I'm Atlanta, I'm kind of shook because this is not how we wanted to start off. After these 2 impressive wins, this is not what we wanted to see. We did not want to see Trae Young score 8 freaking points when he's basically Steph Curry light. Like, he's kind of like the he's like the what do we call it? The Valentinos or the Crystals hot sauce. He's not that good stuff, but he's consistent and you can throw it on there and you're gonna get some flavor. That's what he do. And we didn't get the flavor. We didn't get anything right now. That bottle was empty, and we're calling the staff in the back to get us a new bottle. So I expect Trae Young to bounce. I think he's going to get like 28 points next game. I don't think he'll be posting 30s over and over and over against this defense, but he should get about 25 to 28 next game.
All right, Trae Young, the great value version of Steph Curry. Very interesting team. Shouts out to Sam Walton. Trae, what do you think, man?
I think you guys hit it on the head. Sahi, I think, said it best. I think we're looking at Miami and we see a well-oiled, finely tuned machine. This is who they are unapologetically. And Atlanta is still just a young, scrappy team that's fun to watch. Miami plays defense and they're going to sit in their chair and they're going to play exactly the way Pat Riley has taught them to play. So, I mean, I think it's a foregone conclusion. They're the number 1 team in the East for a reason. Or, yeah, number 2 team. Number 1 team? For a reason. So, and they're packed with veterans. I mean, Kyle Lowry knows how to win. Jimmy Butler knows how to win. They've taught Bam. Tyler Hero got off his ass and started working out instead of thinking that the game was just going to come to him. Duncan Robinson's a machine. Bam is like, they just have players all around and they all know exactly what their job is. And if they don't know what their job is, they got a veteran that everyone's afraid of apparently. And what's my guy has been there for forever.
Oh, Jesus. You mean the relic? He's like 40 years old. Oh my God.
Haslam.
Udonis Haslam.
Look at that. If they don't know what their job is, Haslam will set them straight. Guaranteed.
All right. Well, we will have to play to automatically do pick for these next 2. Unless you guys want to play, we can pass it off to the second half and start with it. We got the Bulls versus Bucks. We go okay picking this one?
Yep.
Yeah, we could pick it. The Bucks.
Bucks.
Yeah, Bucks for sure.
Bucks all around?
Bucks all around.
Okay.
DeMar DeRozan says he won't only score, 8 points or whatever. The last time that was said, my boy Kyrie Irving, he shot 8 for 27. He said, I'll never shoot for that again. And he shot 7 and 6 the next subsequent game. So he just, DeMar DeRozan just put his foot in his mouth. They're gonna lose.
Oh no, DeMar DeRozan is probably the most efficient mid-range player.
No, he is. I agree with that, but it don't matter. It's a curse. It's called karma, and Milwaukee's gonna win.
Hey, The Wire has a recent history of overturning curses. Okay, so we
that's
got
true.
Sahi.
Sahi.
I haven't forgiven.
we got the Pelicans versus the Suns. Do we want to go ahead and pick that one, or we want to pass that on?
Yeah, we can
Suns.
pick that one.
Handle
Come on, man. Yeah, that's another one. You know what? I feel I need to rescind my previous statement. This is a foregone conclusion as well. The Suns. I don't know what. I forgot this game existed because that's how unforgettable. Like, Zion isn't playing. Even if he was, it wouldn't make a difference. Phoenix is another well-oiled machine.
Sahi said it best. Why did they even show up to the damn game?
Why is Zion
Yeah,
even
no
there,
Zion.
Wasting everybody's time.
Right.
Duncan before the game? Come on, man.
He
Don't
needs
show
to be
up
out
to
there playing.
That's what I'm saying.
For practice, because they're going to lose regardless.
Yeah.
They
He can
did
play
lose.
a
They
few
lost
minutes
by
at least.
11. The Pelicans lost by 11 I don't know if it matters, but the Hawks lost by like 24. So, I mean, it's a little bit. I'm not going to keep being just. Well, I got to be, but it's all right. We're going to come back. Obviously, you've noticed we were missing a game. We're going to dive into that game, and we're going to get these fellows' predictions for how the rest of the tournament's going to go. Obviously, we're going to keep covering it. Don't go anywhere. I'm not going to do the whole rundown both times. Just hit that link tree. You'll find where you need to go hit the thumb button and the subscribe button and the follow button and all that good stuff. You're watching and listening to the Wire Sports Podcast, and we will be right back.
Like,
Right.
that's your initial thought as a mother. The fact that she didn't have that initial thought has me question her whole mental stability.
Yeah. And, I'm not a mother, of course, by any means, and never will. But as I'm trying to think of like as a future, parent, like it's like, I think like getting off of work and then like even that night, if like I couldn't find the child, like it's like, that'd be an instant search. That wouldn't be like, yeah, let me go home and make dinner, watch some Netflix, and then I'll go out look. It's like, what? Or especially 30 days?
Yeah, that's insane.
Wow.
I went crazy when he wasn't in my house for 2 weeks, but he was also on vacation. But I still checked in with him every single day.
Exactly.
A whole month?
Fighting senses.
Yeah,
She's three.
Yeah, just a little girl, and you would think that the connection would be stronger, and maybe it was, and maybe we're missing some things.
Sure.
And we'll get into what people around them said as we get closer to the trial. That's right, folks. Welcome back to the Wire Sports Podcast. Go out and check out Andrew and Justin's acting breakdown. Also coming very soon is the new True Crime podcast, True Crime for the Innocent Mind. We got Free Mess on the Fridays on its way. And a couple of other shows in the works. So keep checking out H2G Radio and all the fun we got going on. Let's dive into the game we're missing. We have the Nets versus the Celtics. Saved it for last. The Celtics did win 115 to 114. We are going to play this one for the whole second half. Now, Kyrie's... The first thing I wanted to talk about was Kyrie's quote unquote homecoming. I know this is not the homecoming, but to Boston was, to put it lightly, we'll say foul. Now, Kyrie elected to make it a show, both on and off the court. He had a whopper of a game at 39 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds. And he also threw a couple of birds back at the crowd as he was running around. It was a show. It was exciting. Obviously, Kyrie is likely going to see some fines, given the NBA what they are. They can't let that be a standard going forward. And I'm sure he knew that going in. What do you guys make of not only the crowd's reception or lack thereof to Kyrie back in Boston, but also Kyrie's response both on and off the floor?
Oh, I'm going first. I'm going first here. I'm going first. I loved every second of this, baby.
Talk that talk, Richie.
I loved it. For too long, and I mean this, for too long, fans, especially in the NBA, honestly, like the NBA has hella racist fans, first of all. Second, let's look at the market, Boston. Another prime example of like hella racist area. There are so many times these athletes, which, and let me emphasize, human beings are ostracized, cursed at. If 100 people are constantly flicking me off, why can't I flick them up? Oh, I'm supposed to be professional. They paid for the right to treat me like garbage. Get out of here. Like, it is some bull job. I'm glad Kyrie did this. First of all, I used to be a massive Kyrie fan. Obviously, I was salty when he wanted to be traded from the Cavs to Boston. Wasn't thrilled by that. But let bygones be bygones. He's an incredible athlete. He is a magician with the basketball. And I loved every second of his little behind the head, middle fingers, the other sidebar, middle. You know what? Keep flicking them off. And here's my favorite thing. There's a thing on Twitter, and pardon language, guys. I'm just saying what happened. There was a fan that said, "Kyrie, you suck." And he just looked at him and he said, "Suck my dick," right back to him. And I was like, you know what, Kyrie? I love that. Be the dude. You know, I'm just glad, like in this moment at least, he like embraced that villain role. Because whether he, people want to view him that way, lately he's on the Nets and everyone is a hater. And they're treating the Nets like they're all just bad, awful people. Same thing with Kevin Durant, etc. So it's kind of like what LeBron needed to do in Miami, which was embrace the heel, in wrestling term, embrace the villain. And you know what? They're booing him. They're saying all this nasty stuff, and he's just fed up with it. And you know what? All these athletes, not that, again, every single game they should be like Stone Cold Steve Austin and just coming out swinging birds. But you know what? If you're being like vitriolically targeted like that, you absolutely deserve to reciprocate the energy. That's what Kyrie had said. He was reciprocating that energy. And you know what? I hope he comes out again and has a monster game. I want him to get 50 plus and drop some more birds and whatever else he feels like doing, kiss my blanks, all that stuff. He deserves it because he's a grown man who decided it was not in his best interest to stay in one city and he wanted to play with his best friend. And as a sports fan, I absolutely sympathize to Boston that they want to choose to jeer him. But if you want to flick him off and you want to curse at him and he chooses to react back, so be it, man. They should not be getting penalized for this kind of stuff because the stuff they hear, we don't even hear it most of the time, quite frankly. And these guys, they shouldn't have to be statues and stoic this, that, and the other. NFL athletes, I'm not saying that they don't hear things too, but the fans are so much more disengaged and so much further back that they don't interact in the same capacity. These athletes don't deserve this kind of crap. And I'm so glad Kyrie went off, and I hope he keeps going off. I hope he keeps dropping buckets, and I hope he keeps saying nasty stuff that make the children want to turn the TV off for all I care. This man has been mistreated so many years in his NBA career. He's been disrespected across the board, even in Cleveland, when they're basically trying to say LeBron James was a father figure to him. This man has never been able to just play basketball like he wants. People keep throwing narratives. You know what? If somebody flicks me off in the street, I'm going to flick them off. Good for you, Kyrie. Keep flicking everyone off. Keep cursing. Bring that energy back at them. And I hope you bring it to the Boston Garden in game 2.
This is something to note. Whoever goes next to in the post-game interview, there was a reporter that was trying to use the word hostility. How did this hostility affect your play? And Kyrie refused to let him use that word. He said, "Well, there was no hostility. This is the dark side," I think is what he said. Embrace the dark side. Who wants it next? I'll leave it. Keep it fair. Whoever wants it.
I can take it. So I think I can understand where Richie's coming from. I think that this is the type of situation that makes really good rivalries for the future. A Boston Nets rivalry looks like it's starting to brew. But they're fans. Fans is short for fanatics. They're going to be crazy, and they're going to be. It's not a horrible reason why they're upset with Kyrie. He wanted out of Boston, and they felt rejected by Kyrie. Of course, they're going to boo him. I have no problem with that. I don't have a problem with his attitude towards them. I do have a problem if he's going to be on national TV throwing birds though. I don't want to have to censor my kids. Okay, I don't want to censor my kids watching the game. And I know he's not a role model or whatever, but the camera's on him. My son, Alan, talks trash to a very high degree. But he never crosses that line of using profanity. He doesn't really use profanity. He doesn't want to hear it. And to be fair, Kyrie is getting paid to be above it to an extent. Now, the racist comments that Richie made for it, they do have to go through that, especially in places like Boston, Utah. So I get it, but that's a part of their, I'm not excusing the racism, but I do think that their attitude towards the players that visit them is what makes those places great to play at. So I don't mind what he did, and he showed them up, but I mind kind of how he did it, if that makes sense.
Trey, stop trying to be a good father. You know,
I'm just trying to do what I can. You know, I got boys. I got young men out here.
I see that. I'm just saying. My father wasn't nearly the protective, keep me straight like you. My father let me watch Stone Cold Steve Austin flick people off when I was like 6 years old. He was all like, go for it. Flick him off, flick him back. No, but I respect what Trey's saying. He's not wrong at all. But yeah, it's just like as an adult who, you know, my child is currently not watching basketball. I'm sure I would have Trey's opinion if my daughter was watching basketball. So Trey makes a very good point that I wasn't thinking about. But you know what, Kyrie, I still want you to embrace it. Do you?
Embrace it all day.
Oh boy. Don't know what he's about to say, but let's kick it over to Saeed. What do you make of the specific
I'm not gonna say
reception?
anything. Yeah, I'm not gonna say anything like crazy or anything, but I feel like both Trey and Richie is right here. It's beautiful for the game and entertainment, but you can't be on national TV flicking people off. You got kids watching, but you know what I'm saying? So you got to just kind of pick a different way to get at the fans. But my whole thing is, if you're going to be jabbing with the fans, no matter what you do, you better be sure you win that damn game. Or the fans win. So all that talking the trash with the fans, you got to win that game. If you're going to engage in the fans, you better be 100% sure that me and my guys are going to win this game and get out of here with a dub to really rub it in the fans' faces. Because next game, they're going to be like, all right, you was talking all that, Kyrie, and you lost. And that's going to really get at him mentally. He's going to be trying to overdo it, overplay. You might see him have a down game. So I just think it's a slippery slope. As one would say, once you start going back and forth, I love it. If I was a player, I'd go back and forth with the fan. But you know what I'm saying? But I do my damnedest to try to win. Though he had 39 points and it took a miraculous spin layup by a pirouette by Jason Tatum for him to lose. But nobody's going to
pirouette.
Yeah, nobody's going to care. It's an L in the column for them. So you just got to kind of pick his battles and make sure they get the win.
I mean, well, in the same, staying on topic with the conversation between fans and players, we look at all great series or all great places to play. I mean, if you think about the Reggie Miller series where he did the choking sign to Spike Lee on the sideline, if you think about even Russell Westbrook getting into it with fans in Utah, if you think about like those old Cleveland Cavaliers and Washington Wizards game when the Wizards were popping with Gilbert Arenas, you think about those fan-player interactions, like that kind of like makes the rivalry what it is and must-see TV. So, I mean, I don't want to see it go away. I don't want to make it seem like fans can't be fanatical about the situation. But, I mean, we got to do it tastefully.
I mean, I think you're lighting a match in a gasoline factory when you're talking about Boston and New York anyway. I mean, they've had an ages-old rivalry with the Red Sox and the Yankees. Anyway, so
this ain't real New York, though. Come on, y'all know that.
Oh man,
Brooklyn's about as real New York as you get.
No.
I don't want to be a part of calling Brooklyn.
No. Y'all, hold on. I'm gonna call Marvin and get his ass on here because the Brooklyn Nets are literally the bottom feeders in New York City. Nobody cares, guys. It's just a fact. You can believe me or not.
Oh no, New Yorkers are with their Knicks all day. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Like literally, the Mets are more popular than the Brooklyn Nets. All right, that's what I'm trying to imply. Like, I get what I agree with you, Justin. It is technically New York versus Boston, but come on, everyone knows it's really New Jersey. They moved in recently. They're still the Jersey Nets to the city of New York City. It is not truly the Brooklyn Nets, my friend.
Maybe this is the spark they need to put some city-based faith in the Nets. Who knows?
It'll never happen.
Championship and the Knicks are still
gonna happen.
The Knicks are the number one most valuable team, and they haven't won in 30 years, okay? It doesn't matter. The Nets could win 10 championships in a row, and the Knicks would still be the most valued team in the league, because that is the mecca of basketball in New York City.
What you're saying is the Knicks got to leave New York. All right.
Yeah, no, you're right. Then the Nets would be the best, the most, fanatic basketball team in New York. Is the Knicks. Yeah, the Knicks get out of town. Okay, fair enough.
So we brought him up by proxy a couple times. Richie mentioned Kyrie's wanting to play with his best friend. We also talked about you making sure that you get the win. Kevin Durant. I don't want to say this incorrectly. So what I'm going to say is he seemed a bit out of self in game one. He did still have 23 points, 3 assists, 4 rebounds. He was 9 for 24 shooting. My question is more based on, was this the level of defense that he was met with by Boston, or was this an off day for Kevin Durant? Because he's a small guy. He's always been a smaller guy in stature, and they were kind of playing a more physical defense on him. Do you think this was more of them having Kevin Durant's number, or Kevin Durant just having an off night?
I'm going to tell you this one. Kevin Durant had an off day. Kevin Durant offensively is the most unstoppable player we've ever seen. I mean, and that's, I don't even think it's hyperbole. Kevin Durant is 7 foot with a rocket from 30 that has a dribble handle, can pass, shoot, has a post game. He can rise. If he jumps and shoots, no one can touch his shot. It was an off day for Kevin Durant because those same shots and I saw he was missing. There was defense, but he was missing mid-range bunnies, free throw line extended. Those are shots Kevin Durant doesn't miss. It was an off day. They were physical with him. They made it rough, but that's not the first time someone's been physical with Kevin Durant. It's not the first time that defenses have keyed on him. Kevin Durant generally sees double teams coming off screen. Kevin Durant usually shoots over 2. Kevin Durant usually sees a physical play. If he comes off of a down screen, he pops out and he hits a 3. The defense, and he hits the 3 first couple plays of the game. The defense usually tries to make a switch or an adjustment. He's seen every defense that is thrown at him. He's played every defender, quote unquote, top defender that there is out there. And he went 9 for 24 with 23 points. He had an off night. That's just what that was. I don't even think it's really a conversation. He just played bad.
Anybody want to make it a conversation? Does anybody think that? Go ahead.
I mean, I'll say this. I feel like historically, right? I don't know if this is a historical fact or not, but I'm going to say historically, Kevin Durant has started slow in playoff series. Usually, I think the term is the first game is a fill-out game for him to see how they're playing him, see where he can attack the defense, see where their weak points at. He wasn't playing bad. He was just calculating and getting calibrated for the rest of the series. So I feel like from here on out, he's going to be 35, 40 points a game that they play with this in the series. And then next series, they'll start off slow and they'll calibrate and it's off and running from there. So I think that's all we're looking at. It's nothing more.
Richie, what do you think, man? He is a smaller guy, and Boston kind of capitalized on that. But to Trey's point, that is not new to Kevin Durant. Is this an off night, or do you think that defensive scheme could be the downfall of KD in this matchup?
I mean, let's start with the obvious. Marcus Smart is your reigning defensive player of the year at 6'2", which means he can't guard Kevin Durant. I'm sorry, I tried. There's nothing I can do here. Kevin had a terrible game. It was just a terrible game. Boston is a great defensive team. I actually believe they're the number one defense. I could be wrong, but I believe they are the number one defense. It didn't look that way at the beginning of the year, but I believe they are the number one defense. They're a great defensive team. But I also want to steal something Trey said, because this was my point with Steph Curry. Trey said just a minute ago, and I agree with him, that Kevin Durant is the most unstoppable player, and I concur. Kevin Durant is 7 foot. If Kevin Durant wants to take a bunny, if Kevin Durant wants to pull up, if Kevin Durant wants to run it up and yam it, he's going to do whatever the hell he wants. It's Kevin Durant. He had an off game. It was terrible. Kyrie was good, and that's why they have that tandem. So it will not happen in that sense. Jason Tatum had to steal the game on an amazing little off balance, whatever he said, periods or whatever fancy. That was right. It was a very, very eloquent word. I can't say that. He did a spin and layup, whatever. It's not as fancy as Sahi, but it gets the point across that this was a very, very tight game, and Kevin Durant shot like 30%. So I'm not saying Boston has no chance, but the point is this was one of Brooklyn's worst possible outcomes, and they barely lost the game. KD had a terrible game. Boston's a great defensive team, but there's no scheme in Kevin Durant. Maybe you can scheme Kyrie Irving, but there is no scheming KD. So I'll say this, no impact. Truthfully, Kevin had a terrible game. I concur with the fellas there on this one.
Speaking of which, Jason Tatum, he did have quite a whole night. It wasn't just that pirouette, I believe is the word that was used. 31 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds, including that beautiful finishing layup. For you guys, is this what you come to expect from Jason Statham? Jason Tatum. It was Freud was going to get me sometime tonight.
Jason Statham, man, the transporter coming in.
Yeah. Crank was trying to get his. He was trying to get his damn whatever back up. Is this what you come to expect from Jason Tatum, or do you think that he made a bit of a statement in this game? Whoever wants it.
I'll start. To me, Jason Tatum, I think, lots of people, this is kind of a lazy take, but it's the truth. When you look at how he plays and you look at his shot, he is very Black Mamba-ish. He plays very similar to Kobe Bryant. This dude is a killer, and he is a phenom, and he is, the future. I think a lot of people just don't really talk about him enough. He deserves more credit, and he deserves more of that attention. This is that dude, and he also can play defense, which is why he reminds me of Kobe. Jason Tatum is an incredible player, and he is the difference maker for Boston. And it was very poetic that he did end up being that guy that made that difference and won that game. But all I have to say about Jason Tatum is he is a superstar. He really is. He hasn't got enough attention, which is ironic because he's on Boston, which is one of the heaviest media and revered NBA teams. But Jason Tatum is a killer, and that he is going to be a big part of this series for sure. You're going to hear his name a lot.
I think he's only like 24.
24.
Yeah,
he's 24.
Who wants it next?
I will say I agree with what Richie's saying, but I'm going to be a bit critical of Jason Tatum. I think in order for Boston to really take that next step forward, he's going to have to continue to evolve his game and be more of a playmaker. He's a great scorer. That's without question. He does have Mamba-ish skills, but he has the ability and the basketball IQ to be a way better facilitator. I think Jaylen Brown's actually a better facilitator than he is, a playmaker than he is. And once he gets that part of his game going, then I really think that'll stop them from saying that him and Jaylen Brown need to split up, and that'll be more of a launching pad for them to be a championship squad.
Sahi, what about you, man? You think Jason Tatum made a statement there? You come to expect it from him? What'd you take from his performance on that game one?
Yeah, that's what I expect out of Jason Tatum, right? He's a consistent star. He's going to be a guy that you know what you're going to get out of him on a nightly basis, and he's going to put in the work, and he's going to do great, put up great numbers. But to really feel like he's going to enter that superstar threshold, he's got to team up with some guys. He's got to get a big three or something going. He's got to play with LeBron or somebody to really be looked at as like a superstar, because he's not going to get the love that he deserves in Boston. Even though they are big media, they aren't winning championships out there. So he's going to be great, but he's just not going to be enough.
But I feel like that what you're saying right now, he needs a star. I feel like he is that star. He like if he did more plays that equated to winning, because right now they have Marcus Smart facilitating, they have more Jaylen Brown facilitating. Jason Tatum is good enough to be the playmaker. If he could be the superstar and carry Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart and Al Horford and take them to the next level, then they would be fine. But he is an excellent scorer. He just needs to take that next step in his game, which is a lot to ask because he's already averaging 27 and 5 and 5, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, 27, 5 and 5.
Yeah, he legit needs to be 27. I would say 27, 7 assists, maybe 9 rebounds. Or
he needs to team up
close to 30. Like, but he has the capabilities of being what Luka is, or maybe even more, because he's a better shooter. He just hasn't made that jump yet.
I feel like if the Boston Celtics straight up traded Tatum for Chris Middleton, you'd have the same thing.
No.
The guy that's really good, that's gonna put up numbers.
No.
But he's not gonna get you there by himself.
Tatum and Chris Middleton are two different players.
I mean, but I'm just saying, it'd be the same thing.
I knew it was coming.
It would be the same thing.
That is disrespectful.
No.
Yeah.
Sorry,
no.
Who am I disrespecting?
Jason Tatum.
No, I'm not. I think they're comparable players. Like,
No, they're not
comparable
players.
Jason Tatum, Chris Middleton. Come on now.
Yeah, come on.
The Luka Doncic comparison is fair. The Chris Middleton one.
Jason Tatum just looks better because he's the number one option in the Celtics right now in Boston. Like, if Chris Middleton was the number one option, he would look the same. The reason why I compare him, because like Jason Tatum's like a Robin. Chris Middleton's a Robin. They're both Robin.
Jason Tatum.
So,
I don't agree with you.
Like Giannis is Batman. You put Jason Tatum and Giannis, that's an unstoppable force right there.
Well, I agree with that.
Two different dynamics with the two different dynamics.
I mean, they got two different utility belts, yes, but they're the same person. They're like multiverse.
Giannis dropped 50 in a championship playoff series.
You said what?
Giannis dropped 50 in the championship series last year. Jason Tatum drops 50. Chris Middleton's not dropping 50.
If he's the number one option, he will.
No, he won't.
No.
He doesn't have the personality to do that.
Yeah. We got two rappers.
I think they're trying to tell you, Sahi, that Chris Middleton's more of an Aquaman. All the disrespect.
Man, Chris Middleton, like it was like we talked about earlier. Chris Middleton is like Duncan Robinson. There's gonna be some nights he just destroys you, but he is not that dude. Not on a consistent night. I know, I know what you mean, that we've never seen Chris Middleton as the star. So you can't like dog the dog. But he's not consistent enough, in my opinion. He has too many nights where he disappears, and that's why he'll never be a star.
No, Jason Tatum doesn't do that though.
Yeah, Tatum's always.
It's not just the skill. It's not just the skill that's comfortable. It's the attitude. Jason Tatum's a dog. Jason Tatum goes and gets it. Jason Tatum is locking you down, and he's dunking on you, and he's shooting in your mouth. Like he's doing it with an attitude, talking trash. So Chris Middleton is not that. He doesn't have that.
Just because y'all think Jason Tatum is the greatest player in the league right now, that's what you guys are saying.
That's not what we're saying. I'm actually being critical. I'm saying he needs to take that step and round out his game so he could be more of the star to get his team over the level. They don't need to get a superstar. He needs to be that superstar that he's trying to be.
24, he's got some time. All right, so why don't we do this? Let's get the picks for this series because we need that, and then we will go into kind of an overall look as a closer here. So who we leave off with? Trey, who do you have taking the Celtics and the Nets series?
I have the Celtics don't winning. Just their overall team dynamic. I think that they can get past the Brooklyn Nets, who are they're coming too, but they're kind of disheveled. And I do not like the way that Steve Nash does their rotations. It bothers me, like very much. So I just think overall it's going to be better coaching, better team dynamic. After their little tiff at the beginning of the season, they really sat down, took a hard look at each other, and explained each other's roles and what they were doing. And they just have it clicking right now. And I love the addition of Al Horford. He just brings it all together.
Richie, what about you? Who you got?
Well, I'll say this. This is the series, at least for the first round. And I think that's why we saved it for last. I think this is going to be that spiciness that we all want. And this is like NBA basketball at its finest. Having said that, Jason Tatum is that dog and Boston will win. I think it's going to be a 6-game series. I think this will be an entirely different conversation next year when Ben Simmons is playing.
Okay. All right. Sahi, who you got?
Oh man, just as I was saying before, for the Celtics to take that next step, Jason Tatum needs another guy. He's not going to be able to do a Marcus Smart out there. Come on, Marcus Smart, second tier. Jaylen Brown, second tier. These are guys are a good team, right? They're a great team. They play well together, but you got Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving on that other side. Who knows? Maybe Ben Simmons steps in, but that's probably unlikely in this series. But Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving is just too much firepower for them. They're not winning this series. It's going to be the Nets advantage for sure. And for the NBA's sake, the net better make it past this round.
Here's what I have to say about Ben Simmons. I think he should have won Defensive Player of the Year because he completely defended that bench seat to make sure he was getting paid. Like way over Marcus Smart.
Y'all come over here.
Right?
Not looking at our chairs.
Had that spot on lock.
He had that spot on lock. He's suing the NBA.
It's Simmons Island
He's
over
suing
there.
The 76ers. He's like, you know what? Y'all think you taking this $28 million from me? No, you're not. I'm taking you to court. I'm not playing a game. I'm gonna sit on this pine right here, and you're gonna pay me $28 million.
Mm-hmm.
That is the Defensive Player of the Year.
Kyrie was like, I'm only sitting on the pine half the game.
Half the year. I'm a one up you whole check.
Imagine showing up to your job and just being like, I ain't working all year. But y'all gonna pay me.
You can't.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit in this office. I'm gonna drink this coffee, and I'm gonna stare at you and do nothing.
Yeah.
And you're gonna pay me.
It's called the cheat regime. No matter how bad they are, they all get paid. I appreciate it. Much better pay.
Respect to the frontline teachers out there. Jeez.
Well, to Trey's point, not all of them.
Oh man, we can't get into saying not all around here. Not an H2G. We don't say no. All right, we're gonna go back around. I want your guys' favorite to go all the way, and your sleeper / underdog to go all the way. We've got short time, so you got about a minute and a half each. We'll start with Sahi and work our way back around. Sahi, Richie, Trey to close us off.
All right, to start, who's going to go all the way? Well, I'm only going to go up who's going to make the finals. I ain't going to pick all the way. But I feel like the Phoenix Suns out of the West are going to go to the final. And I feel like the Eastern Conference Finals, it's got to be the 76ers versus the Nets. That's what I want to see so bad, just because of the drama and the trade and all that stuff. So whoever wins between them, I don't care. But I think it's going to be, it's so tough. Anybody could win this year, right? But I'm just going to say the winner of the Nets and the Sixers series is going to win it all. And I believe that's going to be the 76ers.
Okay.
And my sleeper team, if there is one, would be the Golden State Warriors.
Oh my God, get out of here.
I thought I was going to say the Pelicans for a second.
Disgusting.
All right. Richie, who you got as the favorite to go all the way, and then your sleeper / underdog?
All right, I'm going to preface this by saying, obviously, this is very early. I agree with Sahi. It's almost impossible to tell. There's so much parity in the NBA right now. There's a lot of excellent teams. Having said that, to me, you would think Phoenix, because to me, Phoenix is the clear-cut favorite in the West. I think they have an easy path. I don't think they're going to lose. I think they'll be in the final. So when you're already locked to go, that's a good spot in the number one seed. Having said that, I don't believe it's going to be them. I actually think it'll be the Milwaukee Bucks. They're the third seed, but I think Milwaukee and Phoenix will have a round two. And I think Milwaukee will come out on top over Phoenix like that. My underdog, which is kind of a cop-out because they're just as good of a team, is the 4 seed Philadelphia 76ers. I think the 76ers are on fire. I think they're a fantastic team. And even though I think Boston will squeeze by the Nets, I don't think they'll overcome Milwaukee. And I think Milwaukee will end up playing Philadelphia. And I think, that's going to be the clash of the Titans. And I believe that those teams will be the ones who end up winning. But Phoenix could easily prove me wrong. Once again, I believe they had the best record over Miami. Fantastic team. Monty is coach of the year. They're an incredibly coached team. They could easily win. But to me, I got to stick with the reigning champs. I think Milwaukee's been fantastic. Philadelphia's fantastic. Boston's fantastic. Hell, the Nets are the best 7th seed I've ever seen in my life. The East has some killers. But I'm going to stick with Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee has what it takes. They're a fantastic defensive team. And Giannis may not be MVP, but he's like 1B to Jokic. So I'm going to say he squeezes past Embiid in a tight series and Milwaukee wins.
I know it's early, but we will be checking back into this. So don't worry. We'll be able to adjust these as we go forward. Trey, as of right now, who do you have as your favorite to go all the way? And who's your sleeper / underdog?
So my favorites are Phoenix and Milwaukee. Milwaukee's the 3rd seed. It took them a while to get under, but I think that they're the favorites to come out of the East. I guess my sleeper team would be, and it's kind of weird to call them a sleeper team because they're number 1 seed, but would be the Heat. I was going to pick the Golden State Warriors, but I think the Heat are just the most disciplined team in these playoffs. And that just comes from Spo and Pat Riley. And you always hear about this Heat culture and how they get things done. And they got Udonis Haslem. I just like the way that they play. A lot of it has to do with Tyler Hero coming off the bench, actually playing really good basketball and not acting like he's, what's the word I'm looking for? Not acting like he's supposed to be like this big NBA star. He actually put in the work to get stuff done. Duncan Robinson knows what he is. I like the addition of Kyle Lowry.
Kyle Lowry.
Yeah. Bam Adebayo is Bam Adebayo. He's a freak athlete playing ridiculous basketball now. Jimmy Butler's dog. I like PJ Tucker, dog. Like, they just have everything that you think that a championship team needs attitude-wise, and they aren't afraid to get on themselves. And they said it a couple of weeks ago when they got into that fight. That was just them being in championship, and that's where they are. So I don't know. They're Milwaukee Bucks for sure coming out of the East, but the number 1 seed, the sleeper team coming.
Yeah, don't disrespect them. You know what?
Yeah.
Trey made a good point. 6 guys that can score 10 points easy on that team. They're very balanced. So
Yes.
Heck yeah.
I like that as a sleeper, even though it's disrespectful for a number 1 seed to be the sleeper.
Right? They're number 1 seed, but they're the sleeper team because everyone
They
expects.
kind of are, yeah.
All right,
fair
fellas. Well, we are running out of time here, but happy 2-year. You guys are listening to and watching the Wire Sports Podcast. Our link tree has a link to everything you need to go back and watch old H2G, to watch the beginning of the Wire on Justo's Best Podcast in 2020, 2 years ago. We've got The Free Mess on Fridays coming out soon. We've got the True Crime for the Innocent Mind coming out soon. Check out Andrew Justin's acting breakdown if you get any interest in getting acting. And this is The Wire. We're on every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Season 7, baby. We are here. We ain't going
Let's
anywhere.
go.
Live, laugh, love like it's
Let's
your
go.
last. We'll see you next time.
Unless you're Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.